What's going on, everybody? I had a couple comments on one of my last videos that I kind of wanted to address. They kind of seemed like there would be something to talk about, so I wanted to address them. The first one, what was it? Oh yeah. Dude had bought a 2022 Pan America. And he said, you know, he loved it when it was working, but it was just, it had too many problems, had too many issues. I believe he said it was something like with the wiring, something like that. So it just put a bad taste in his mouth, and overall he ended up trading it in on the bike, so his experience was kind of, it was just kind of overshadowed by all the problems, which, that really sucks to hear. Like, I hate it when people have problems with their bikes. But it's something that's not exclusive to just the Pan Americas, though. The Pan Americas being a new bike, like I had this understanding when I bought the bike. It's a brand new bike, brand new engine, everything's new on it, and so I kind of knew there was going to be those teething issues with the bike, and some of them were going to have some problems. Very few would have pretty major issues, unfortunately. Bikes of every kind have that problem also. It's not just a Pan American problem. I've heard of guys with their BMWs having problems, with sometimes their Yamahas having problems. It's just some bikes are just bad. And I don't know why that is. It could just be manufacturing. Maybe they weren't built properly. Maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they came off the assembly line on a Friday at 4 o'clock. You know, just the guy wanted to get out there and get it done. Who knows? Now there has been some known issues with the bike, especially in the earlier models. Like I said in the last video, I had some issues with like the aero coach just popping up, and a lot of that I think was mainly due to low voltage. I was just messing something up in the computer, and the computer was just tripping out. Firmware updates have seemed to solve that problem. I haven't had those since. Little recalls, such as the starter clutch pinion gear, I believe, was recall or service bulletin, whatever Hurley calls it. But that got replaced. That completely solved the starting issue. That wasn't always a big deal. I mean, it always started, just sometimes you had to push the button more than once. So pretty minor, but it's still a problem. It's a brand new bike and it wasn't working the way it should, so they addressed that. But back to this guy, he seemed like he had a really bad experience with the bike and just kind of has just written the bike off altogether, which is unfortunate, but you know, I'd be a little upset too. I'd be a lot of upset too if my bike just didn't work. You know, you spend all that money on a brand new bike for it not to work. I mean, that ain't cool. So that brings me around to a point that I really try and push on a lot of people. It's shopping for a dealership before you start shopping for a bike. Well, most dealerships have their friendly sales guys or whatever, but you really only deal with those sales guys once when you're buying the bike. And not to say those guys can't be cool. I mean, some of the coolest guys I've met in motorcycling have been sales guys. They've been real cool, real friendly, always feel welcoming, and that's great. But I'd poke around the service department. You can get a feel for a shop just by how the service guys are acting. And don't be turning this way. I'm going that way. Don't know where you're going. It's cool. And that would be my suggestion anyways, is to shop around for a good dealership before you start shopping for a bike. You know, you can pretty much buy these bikes at any dealership, especially if you're looking for a new bike. Maybe you're not, but if you are, you can buy those bikes anywhere. They can get them for you. It's just, man, just see what the whole dealership's attitude's about. Because you're going to be dealing with them for a while, at least for the time you own the bike. Another question I got that I thought was pretty interesting and got me thinking a bit. He was asking if the Pan America would be a good choice to ride from India, I think somewhere in Asia. He had some trip like that planned out. And if I thought the bike could make it, or would make it, or if it would be a good choice. And do I think the bike could make it? Yeah, I absolutely believe the bike could make it, no problem. And it would be comfortable, and you'd get a lot of looks, and people would be just be super interested in the bike because it's not a very common bike that people see. That also raises an issue with me, is I haven't done a whole lot of research about these regions. And I wish this guy would go so much faster than this. Come on, dude. What are the bikes that are over there? Like, what are the people riding that are in that region? You know, from what I understand, they're mainly a lot of lower CC bikes, a lot of utilitarian bikes and things like that. That being said, how readily available parts are going to be, and what the dealership network looks like in the region. That's an upside to the U.S. riding a Harley Davidson, is there's dealers everywhere. I have more Harley dealerships around me than I do Yamaha dealerships. And I think that's the majority of the country. But in other countries, I don't think that's the case. I don't know for sure, but I don't think it is the case. So it's just something to consider, is dealership network, how available are parts going to be, and if you need to get something worked on the bike, what does that look like? You know, I have full faith in the bike, but things do go wrong on bikes. I have that understanding of things go wrong. Bikes break. They can break. Doesn't matter what bike it is. Things can always get broken. It's just a thing. So I look at that, and so with all that going through my head, my first thought was no. I wouldn't take it. Do I think it's capable? Of course I think it's capable, but would I take it? No. What are you doing? That's not a spot to pull over. Yeah, so would I take it? No. My first thought was to go with something like a DR650. You know, a bike that's been out for a long time, a thing that parts are readily available for, or like a KLR 650, something along that line of kind of maybe a bigger dual sport that can do the distance, that has that reliability, but can also handle roads that may or may not be in the best shape. And that was my go-to. That was my first thought that popped up in my head. Well, I'd take one of those. And if something does go severely wrong and you have to leave the bike behind, it's not that big of a hit. I mean, it still sucks. I don't, losing a motorcycle would suck, but I mean, if it happens, I'd much rather it happen to like a $5,000–6,000 bike than this. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. What bike would you take on a trip like that? You know, what would be your concerns? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. All right, guys, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.